One of the things we really try to do with all of our wedding professionals when we bring them in for a live is really talk about what they're passionate about, what they want to show and tell, and guide couples with. So Broc has some amazing topics that we're going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and get started with the next one, which is 5 tips to have an amazing reception. So we are overly excited because you know a little bit about this for sure. So let's go ahead.
Yeah. So when I was sitting down and really thinking about like, hey, if it was a good friend of mine and we're going to tell them 5 things to think about as they're beginning to plan their wedding, these are the things that I would want to communicate. And most of them you'll find are pretty high level thoughts, but I think that's really important that you kind of have clarity of vision and go down the path that fits you best. I really care that every event fits the bride and groom that we work with. So the first tip that I had come up with start with the end in mind. Start with the end in mind. And the thing about start with the end in mind is that you really want to make sure that you think about like how that event is going to go and how people are going to feel about the event after, and how you want to feel about the event after. Something I frequently ask my clients is, hey, after this is over, what do you want your guests saying about your event? Do you want them saying, yeah, you want them to say it was fun, right? Okay, good. There's nobody who wants their wedding to be boring, as far as I know. But let's push past that. Like, what does that fun feel like? Is it really high energy? Is it more laid back? Is it really formal and kind of a black tie affair? Or is it more casual, got your cowboy boots on, cowboy hat? And what does that look like for you? And dream a little, like make an experience out of it. You don't want to spend, $5, $10, $20, $5, $10, $20, $30,000 plus dollars on a wedding and it not be an incredible experience. Like, make it powerful. So start with the end in mind and then focus all of your attention on that end goal. So for example, the end goal is for it to be super high energy, really unique experience, nothing like they've been to before. Then you're probably going to want to think about investing in entertainment and unique entertainment, right? Like maybe it's kind of getting creative about the entertainment process there so that it's something that they've never seen. And you're probably going to want to get, pretty high energy DJ or band or form of entertainment for that event. So start with the end in mind. I want to say this, it can be really easy to get caught up in the little details of planning. And by the way, it's easy to spend $100,000 on a wedding, right? Like there are a million services out there. Obviously, I don't recommend this for everybody. So instead, focus your attention on the experience that you want it to be like. And don't get caught up in the little pieces along the way. Really focus on the big picture. I think it'll make you go a lot further in your planning experience. You'll get a lot more out of it that way. So that's start with the end in mind. Past that, actually, Deb, did you have any reflections?
So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the experience that you want for your guest is one of the most important parts. So I love that you talked about experience. So yeah, no, let's go ahead.
Awesome. This follows pretty quickly behind that. This makes a lot of sense. Put your money in your priorities. Like after you've really thought about the end goal, then you want to begin to assess what are my priorities here. Some people, maybe your priorities are have really awesome pictures and video. Okay. Then you want to put money into really talented photographer and videographer for your event, right? Like absolutely make those investments. Some people really want the experience and the memory of it being super fun and super energetic. You want to put your money in your entertainment at that point. Some people really care about the food. Some people don't want it to be a really high energy experience or anything like that. And in that case, maybe you don't invest so much in entertainment. Maybe it's a smaller portion of your budget and you focus more of your attention on the parts that do make sense. If you want it really pretty, you're going to invest in decor and floral and that type of deal. Or and then I like to say this, you see it here on the screen. Think about your priorities before, during, and after. Now, while I told you to start with the end, think about the whole way through, right? So if before the event, for example, if before the event, let's say, okay, for me, I'm a very big picture thinker. That's how I work. Planning fine details is really hard. I get really overwhelmed with really get into fine details of things. For me, in that scenario, a planner makes a lot of sense. That would be a priority for me because they can do that thinking for me, and it's something that they're talented at. During the event, who's running the show? Who's making sure everything happens and making sure you don't have to worry about anything? You better know that. That should be a priority for you. And then after the event, like I said, this is where you the end in mind. How are people going to remember it? How do you want people to feel after the event and talk about the event afterwards? You want to have that definition. Those will create your priorities, and absolutely you want to arrange your finances and budgets to match those priorities. I want to say one thing about that. There are certain tools out there that you can go in, you can like plug in. You say, okay, my budget for this event is $20,000, and it will break down how much you need to spend on every vendor. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not a fan of that. I get the concept, and I think it is loosely helpful for brides, but that predetermines your priorities for you, is what that's doing. And so be really wise to that. They've just plugged in basic percentages based on rough averages, in the past year or something like that. And I don't think that's wise for making your event uniquely you. You can use that maybe as a kind of an idea creator, but make sure you break down your budgets based on your priorities and make those adjustments appropriately.
Absolutely. And I completely 100% agree with you with those planners, because that also is not just for this area, for the Midwest either. And when you're looking overall, the most important thing is you figure out what's the most important for you when you're planning. I mean, that has and no wedding is ever the same. That's one of the things that I don't know about you, Broc, but I love about our jobs and about weddings is that you walk into a wedding and it can have some similarities, but you can tell where the priorities have been, whether it's the party, whether it's just like you said, whether it's the decor, whether it's the photographer. And, I mean, hopefully you're doing a little bit of all of that, but at the end of the day, your priorities, I love the way you said that, because when you sit down and really figure out what is important to you, it's going to be the wedding of your dreams because you've already figured out what your priorities are. And, just like I said, it's hard to always get advice from other people because they might not be planning what's the most important for you. And I feel like, just like you said, when you make that budget and then you just really sit down and say, okay, this is number one on my priority list. I want to have a really good party. Like I'm not, and when you really see, we've been to enough weddings that you really can tell where they've invested, what's most important to them. And I think that's really, really good tip and really good to know.
Yeah. By the way, I think this tip is important for all budgets. I want to be clear about that, right? Like, I'm not trying to tell anybody here what budget they should spend. I don't believe in that. I think that people, everybody has their means to work within. Work within your means. I don't encourage my clients to go into debt for their event, but still arrange your budget based on priorities. I think that's really still very important in this scenario. And
there's some, some times that, oh my gosh, the dress is everything. And then, like I said, for some, it's the reception and the party. So yeah, I love that tip. Yes, and yes.
Awesome. The next one, I think a lot about this one. This one's really important to me. is don't skimp on your entertainment. Don't skimp on your entertainment. So here's the deal. This is obviously very near and dear to my heart. I'm an entertainment company, so I think a lot about this. But here's what I've discovered. There's a study by Modern Bride magazine that came out a few years ago. 81% of guests remember one thing about your event far more than any other thing, and that's the entertainment. Now, I'm not trying to downplay other people, other vendors. Like, they're all important. Don't mishear me. But the thing that is most remembered is entertainment. And I actually just love to do a little thought experiment with people when I'm talking to them. Think about events you've been to. What do you remember most? You remember if the entertainment was good, and actually you also really remember if the entertainment was bad.
Right.
And frankly, if we could say it this way, if you don't remember the entertainment, that's probably not good either, right? The entertainment absolutely makes or breaks your event. And I think if you devote less than 5% of your total wedding budget to something that makes up 81% of the memory, that's a risk. That's a big risk. I've seen brides spend $20,000-$25,000 and spend less than $1,000 on that on entertainment. And here they have this big, beautiful, elaborate wedding with great food, and nobody sticks around because the entertainment wasn't that good. That to me is terrible. Now, don't mishear me. If that's what the bride and groom wanted, awesome. Kudos to them. I encourage that, right? But for the most part, most brides and grooms want their guests to stick around and make an incredible memory. And so that is not a place where I recommend skimping on entertainment. That will make a huge impact. I mean, people know it more and more today. Entertainment is everything. Unfortunately, we live in a world where anybody can kind of say they're an entertainer. It's kind of like photographers. I really feel bad for photographers that this. Anybody can buy a $5,000 Canon camera and call themselves a photographer. You don't need a degree. You don't need a certificate. There's no training program. There's like, oh, I have a good eye. I'm gonna grab a camera and I'll be. The same is true for like DJs and other types of entertainment like that. For example, even bands. There's no degree for that.
Yeah.
If you have 2 speakers and Spotify, you can call yourself a DJ. So be really wise. Like there is it's pretty important that you make sure that you don't skimp on entertainment. You get somebody who's going to be a professional and who's going to make it a really impactful moment. That's the one thing your guests are going to remember. Most of your guests are going to remember more than anything else. And so make sure that you make that happen.
So I definitely will jump on that because I can tell you, been in the wedding industry for 10 years, and it is one of the biggest questions that I ask is, who is your DJ? Because at the end of the day, by the time a couple gets to the reception, they just want to enjoy it and they want to have fun. And that's when you actually get to interact and have fun with the guests. And if you do not have a DJ that has a wedding experience, and there is a big difference between a DJ that has even DJ experience compared to wedding experience, because at the end of the day, once you get to the reception, the DJ or the entertainment is really and truly what keeps that flow happening. Your guests need to know, I'm sure that you've been to a wedding that you're wondering what's going to happen next. When is that going to happen? Oh, how long are we waiting for that? And a lot of them will just leave. And so know that this right here is huge on my passion, because this is the point that not only for your guests, but this is where you get to have fun as well. And so, wedding experience is incredibly important. And then also, because they lead your entire reception and bring in your guests. There's nothing like being at a reception where nobody gets on the dance floor. Oh, brides want everybody to have fun, and you've got to have someone who's going to do that. Not everybody loves to jump up and do that. That's where your entertainment comes, your DJ comes in. And so yes.
Yeah. I love it. Deb, can we skip to the last one really quick? I like this one. Get an A team. Get an A team. A lot of people think about getting vendors as like, oh, I just need to get somebody to make my cake, and I just need to get somebody to make the food. Think about it in terms of like just putting people in places, more or less, and job roles really is what. But honestly, here's the deal. These people will work together to make sure the event of your dreams comes to life. Yes. That is their job. Like, and I really encourage you, when I say get an A team, I mean get people you really believe in. Like, please don't settle on this. Like, these are the people, okay, like photographer, for example. We have so many really good photographers in this area. But that's the person you might spend the most part of your day with. That single person more than any other person you'll spend your day, your big day with, right? And so your personalities, you want to make sure you jive, and you want to make sure that you get along. You want to make sure they're able to capture the vision of the images that you want. That's huge. Your caterer, like you want to make sure that your caterer is somebody who's thought of every part. It's not just putting food on a buffet. It's putting food on a buffet, the plates, the drinks, who's picking up the plate afterwards, who's making sure the trash is taken out. Like, it's a whole process. And so I really encourage people, like, find people you really connect with and believe in. That should be your A team. And don't think of them again as a job role. Think of them as the people who are going to bring your vision to life. And is it cohesive? Do you have everybody in place who will absolutely take care of you? I love, as a DJ, I love when I have that moment, I ask my clients, okay, hey, who are you working with? And we have a list, check, 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 check. And, I know several of them. And it's like such a good feeling, because I know that event is going to be rocked. We are going to make it awesome. That bride and groom are going to be ecstatic at the end of the night, and so taken care of that they don't have to worry about anything on their day. I really don't want to see my brides and grooms settle in any way, shape, or form in this way. That doesn't mean go outside your budget. There are still people who will probably be within your budget, but make sure that you jive really well with them, and that your personalities get along with them, and that you believe that they're going to deliver the experience you want. I tell a lot of my brides this. There are people in this industry, you can tell their heart's in it. You talk to them, and they care about you. They want to make sure that day is incredible for you. There are people you talk to, and I don't get that feeling from, right? Like, it's a job, it's a job for the weekend. And I will tell you, every time, the person who really cares, and you get that sense that they are really invested in your event, is going to make sure your event is fantastic for you. And so, absolutely important, get an A team.
Yes, I love that, because it does. It makes a lot of wedding professionals have worked together in other weddings, and so you tend to and you build relationships. I mean, honestly, we build relationships. I mean, that's one of the best parts about this, and so yeah, I love that, because that, when you did that, when you've really created that team of wedding professionals, it takes a lot of stress off of you. It takes a lot of stress off of, the whole day, and it lets everyone be in the moment. I've said quite a few times, the better your team is, the more wedding professionals that you're, have, and you're jumping with, and just loving, they will take off stress. Like, they will let everyone around you, your parents, whoever else is around you, the wedding party or whoever, just be in the moment that day. And I think that's incredibly important. I think it has, that team is and that's what we're saying, to start planning now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go find that A team right now.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We can't stress that enough. All right.
All right, this is the one that gets me in trouble a little bit, but I really believe in it, and because I believe in it, I do go ahead and push forward in it. Listen, not all services are created equal. Don't, and this is the most important part, don't start the conversation with price. This is especially true for DJs, because I think when people are planning their wedding, first of all, they don't hire a lot of DJs. The idea is you get married once. This is the first time you've ever had to hire a DJ usually. And so a lot of people just think the DJ just presses play on music. That is not true. And so because of that, I think we especially get a lot of people who just start with, hey, what's your price? What's your price? And that's a terrible place to start. Here's why. Not all services are created equal. People have, what we do as a company is different than what a competitor down the street might do as a company. It's comparing apples and oranges. Listen, you can do price comparisons with the exact same product, right? If I want to buy a vacuum cleaner that's called Model 304, I can look at store 1, store 2, and store 3. And as long as it's Model 304, it's probably the same thing. So all that matters at that point is price. That is not true of wedding services. There are photographers who range in capability, who range in style. There's like different styles. Some of them do really kind of a wider, more blown out look. And some of them have more of a darker feel to what they have, more of a photojournalistic style. There's a range there. Same with DJs. DJs, some of them, they'll show up and they'll press play on music. That doesn't create an experience. That will not make your event a success. That's really important that I say that. Like, music in and of itself is not the key ingredient, right? Like, that's why people all over the place sometimes will do the iPod DJ thing. And, they'll play some of the same songs. They'll play Get Low by, Lil Jon, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work as well because it's not about the song. It's about the experience. And so I really recommend, when you're choosing services across the board, get to know them first. Go out, look at some reviews, feel out the reviews, maybe get some recommendations or friends who've gotten married, and maybe find out kind of what people are saying, and then go have conversations with them. At least get to know them. Don't mishear me. You can ask like a range, maybe find out, hey, photographer, can you give me a range? I know that we're not going to be able to spend 10 grand on a photographer, so it's probably not worth our time to spend 2 hours having a conversation with a 10 grand photographer. I think that's cool, but get to know them and make sure that they jive really well. And if they do, that's when you want to adjust your budget to fit that person, to really match and meld with your A-team and your goals for your overall experience. That will make your event much more fulfilling. People who go rigidly by price end up, unfortunately, many of them, not all of them, but many of them will end up with an experience that isn't all that rewarding. It tends to be more stress than it is solution and enjoyable. And so I don't see brides like that. That's not fair. It's your big day. So make sure, again, get to know the people that you're interested in and make sense of why they're priced the way they are before you ask for those numbers.
Yes, and I agree with that because, just like we said at the beginning, when you're looking at your budget and you're deciding how much for everything, it all goes back to you also, when you're looking for a wedding professional, what experience are you wanting with that, especially when it comes to your priority items? What experience are you wanting? And if you don't get to know someone, if you automatically take them out because, oh, they're too expensive, or, oh, you could be missing out on the whole experience that they bring to the table compared to someone else. And, I cannot tell you, as wedding professionals, guys, how many times we get asked. I feel like if you're looking for a car and you call, or you're getting your car fixed, you don't normally, say, oh, well, how much are you? Okay. And always go with the cheapest. you don't do that. You go with somebody you trust. You go with somebody that you believe in, you know, and but with wedding professionals, this is a big deal. It's the biggest day of your life. And, you know, that has everything to do with just, you know, going back to choosing, not getting stuck in the price, but choosing the wedding professional based on what they're bringing to your table. And I feel, so yes, I absolutely love that, because you know, as wedding professionals, we get it all the time. And a lot of us, just an FYI, a lot of wedding professionals, when somebody emails us or, you know, hey, can you send me your pricing? A lot of wedding professionals will not send pricing, and I'm gonna, you know, dive in of why we don't. It's because you're not, that pricing is numbers on a page. It's not who we are and who we bring to you, who, you know, again, it goes back to that right fit. There are times that you will meet someone and know immediately, oh, we have a good connection. I want to for sure hire them. And then there's sometimes that you think, no, love their work, but not a good fit. Don't stop that with price. Just, yeah.
Well, in business terms, there's two things we're looking for in every purchase. Every purchase we make, it doesn't matter if it's oranges or toilet paper or a vehicle, right? And we're looking for two things. We're looking for value and cost. And when those things go together for us, we make a purchase, right? And so, you know, for example, there's cheap toilet paper out there. I'm guessing a lot of people are down with buying that cheap stuff, right? Like, you know, one ply is a little scary. You want to make sure you wash your hands real well after that type of deal. Like, that's not, the value isn't there for people. The problem with just asking price is you didn't give the vendor the opportunity to share value. You didn't give them the opportunity to share, here's what's made us successful, and here's why we're priced that way. Get to know that. I really encourage you. Now, I'm not saying, right, like there are, you know, there are quite a number of vendors. So I don't think it's going to be pretty time consuming to try to do that with everybody. So I encourage you to kind of go and look at reviews first, look at people who look like they fit you, maybe pick out 3, 4, you know, 5 photographers, something like that, and start scheduling some calls and have conversations with them. Yeah. And find the person that fits you, and you get to understand their value as well as their cost. It's both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am just going to touch base with Shelby really quick, because I forgot to do that on the last segment, to make sure we didn't have any questions for this topic. So yeah, and I love that. I think you said that very well. I know that's sometimes a very hard topic, but I think you said that very well. So, and I think that is, you know, incredibly helpful for all couples to know. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Listen, I will tell you this, for all the brides who are listening right now, 417, I've DJed in a lot of places. So 417 is incredible. It's unique. There are so many really talented wedding professionals, and more importantly, not only are they talented, but they also really care, and that is it's of profound value. Like, to know you have somebody on your big day in your corner that's going to make things happen, so that you don't have to think about it, is powerful. Or to have somebody in your corner who's going to make sure that when the issues come up, and there will be issues, that you don't even feel them, right? Like, that you don't even know that they were issues, that they are taken care of because somebody else dealt with it for you. That makes it so that you can be totally focused on being with your family and friends, and being celebrated. You kind of lose yourself in that moment with your family and friends, and that's huge. 417 is unique in that way. I am very proud of the people, the vendors that we have in 417, because they are so not only very talented, but they care so much to make sure that your event is flawless for you. Yeah,
absolutely. I can tell you, we've met with not just the ones that are on Top Weddings, but you know, we've met with a lot and worked with a lot of wedding professionals in the 417 area, and You know, there are not very many wedding professionals that I've met that their heart is not for the couple and the wedding day, and you know, that passion. When you get as excited, you know, about a wedding day as the bride or the couple is, uh, and that's how a lot of us feel. I mean, honestly, it's, oh my goodness, this is, you know, this is, we know the thing about wedding professionals is we know what this commitment means. We know that this is one of the biggest days of your life, and it's an honor for, I feel like, all wedding professionals to get to be a part of that. And that is one thing I can honestly say, and we'll say it. 417 area is, yeah, has amazing, amazing wedding professionals. And so, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
anything else for the 5 tips to have an amazing reception? And I really feel like, you know, a lot of that was not just based on a reception. And that's why, you know, when Broc told me the 5 tips that he wanted to talk about, it really and truly is about the whole wedding. And I love that because your reception is a part of the wedding. And I could tell you it's everything else is amazing, but it is honestly the fun part. I mean, it's the part where you just get to, you know, unwind and just enjoy. And you know, yeah, so thank you, Broc, but going into detail for so much more than just the reception too, because that all has to do with having a good reception is yeah, all of those as you're planning. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my pleasure.